It's Tuesday, December 13th, 2022. We have a lot to talk about today. I want to talk about the CPI. I want to discuss some of these articles I printed out with you and share them with you. Before I do, I wanted to say one thing. You know, there's a lot of people out there. You know these type of people. I know these type of people. They have all the answers. They know it all. They know everything. They spend zero time studying anything, but they know everything. They know that the housing market's not going to collapse. They know the stock market's not going to collapse. They know the dollar's not going to collapse. They know the economy's not going to collapse. Yet they never look at the data. They don't read. They don't connect the dots. What they do is they watch a lot of Netflix. They watch a lot of football and basketball games. They watch a lot of television. And they're really like zombies. Yet they have all the answers. They know everything. Yet again, they don't look at the data. They don't look at the numbers. They don't connect the dots. They are just zombies, just going day to day to day. And it just amazes me how people cannot be concerned with what we're seeing take place in this economy right now, the future of this economy, the future of the dollar, their purchasing power, their standard of living. Yet a lot of these people have all the answers. They know everything. Yet tonight they'll be watching a basketball game, watching Netflix, watching a cartoon, sitting on their beanbag with a bowl of popcorn, and they're going to tell you and I that we are completely wrong. Don't listen to the zombies. They are wrong, and they're being proven wrong every day. And I'm going to share some of this data today, and please comment down below. Love to know what you think. But we had a very interesting day today. Dow Jones was up around 400 points earlier, and then it just went back and forth, closed up a little bit over 100 points. And I think that the market was very confused with the CPI today. Was it good news? Was it bad news? I think that the markets were hoping for a better number. Yesterday, Dow Jones was up 528 points. NASDAQ was up over 100. Based on what? This is what fascinates me, is that yesterday the markets are absolutely surging. Based on what? What fundamentals allowed the markets to go just absolutely crazy yesterday? Dow Jones up over 500 points yesterday. Based on what? The hope. It's all based on hope that today that we would see 6.9. 6.8, something with a 6 on it, that the markets could really celebrate and really take off on. And it didn't happen. Better than expected. We got CPI at 7.1% versus the 7.3 that was expected. Isn't it always amazing? We always expect more and always come in a little bit lower. And that's always just enough good news for the markets to celebrate and go up. I don't know about you, but having inflation 7.1% higher than it was a year ago, I don't see how the markets react in a positive manner. I don't see how that's good news. I think that it's terrible news, but they make it good news because it's better than expected. So even though inflation is up, your purchasing power is way down, your standard of living is down. The good news is it's not as bad as 7.3. It's unbelievable how they switch this stuff around. But how is the Fed going to get inflation down to 2%? Somebody please answer that question. Comment down below. We're at 7.1%, and the Fed is saying that we're going to go to 2%. The only way they do that is they get crazy aggressive, and they raise rates higher and longer than anticipated. I don't think, in my opinion, from what I see, I don't think inflation is going away anytime soon. What do you think? Is inflation going to go away next year, 2023? Is everything going to go back to normal? I don't think so. Prices of some durable goods have been falling for months, and they did so again in November. Energy prices plunged. And of course, why did they plunge? Well, because we're tapping into our strategic petroleum reserves, using hundreds of millions of barrels of oil and depleting these reserves. And what happens when we have an emergency? If we have an emergency, when we have an emergency, and what happens when they need to be top back off? And we continue to deplete them. And when we top these reserves back off, what price is oil going to be? I could see oil going easily back over $100 a barrel in 2023. That could happen. Food prices jumped, but meat was down. Eggs, fresh fruits, vegetables, coffee, and booze all spiked. Services keep rising. That's 2/3 of consumer spending right now, and it is rising. So beware of head fakes, ladies and gentlemen. You know, the Fed talked about this a while ago, that just because inflation comes down for a while doesn't mean that it can't go right back up. This could just be a head fake. And again, I think it is, because you have the SPRs being depleted. And again, when they have to be topped off, at what price is that going to cost us? And is oil going to be $75 a barrel when we cross that road? Or is it going to be $90, $100, $120 a barrel? So very dangerous. Not a good idea to be doing. Here's one from the Hedge. Goodbye inflation, question mark. CPI misses across the board. CPI, as we talked about, rose 0.1% month over month, with year to year falling 7.1%. And what were the biggest drivers pushing inflation down? Used cars and energy. And again, what happens when oil prices begin to surge? We're going to have problems. We have stocks going up with no fundamental reason. We look at yesterday. What were the fundamentals that drove the Dow Jones up 528 points yesterday? What drove the markets yesterday, other than the hope that we would have some great CPI number today? It didn't come in at 6.9, came in at 7.1, and the markets, they took it as good news, but not great news. So we're now sitting in a time here where we are maxing out strategic petroleum reserves in order to manipulate the CPI, and we have the consumer maxing out their credit cards to go out and buy Christmas gifts, to pay their rent, to pay for gas, to pay for essentials. You know, I was at Best Buy today. I had to pick up a headphone set for the iPad, and it was somewhat busy. I was kind of surprised that it had as many people as it did. But interestingly enough, everybody now here in California is getting their stimulus cards for $500 or $250 or $1,000, whatever it is. And let me tell you, they're going to go out and they're going to spend every dime of it for Christmas. And I saw people buying big screen TVs today. Prices have come way down on that stuff. You can get a phenomenal deal. But the question is, do you need another television? Do you need another big screen? I saw people buying 2 TVs at a time, $2,500 a piece for these, I believe they were 77-inch Sonys. I don't know if they were 4K or 8K, but they were $2,500, $2,600. One person bought 2, but they have stacks of these things. And they say they're selling, but I did see people in there buying them. And you have to ask yourself today, do you need another television? Do you need more electronics, or do you need to be saving some money right now? Do you need to be buying assets right now? Do you need to be paying off debt right now? If you got stimulus money, what's the best place you could put it right now? Is it maybe in cash, maybe buying some silver, maybe buying some gold, or a big screen TV? These are things that a lot of people really need to ask themselves. And most people will just give in because they want instant satisfaction. They are going to buy the television. Justice Department faces questions after effectively preventing Sam Bankman-Fried from testifying in Congress. This on the Hedge today. Prosecutors stopped Sam Bankman-Fried from self-incriminating statements by arresting him. So what do you think? Did the DOJ just move quickly and aggressively to prosecute this guy, or did they do this to stop him from talking? His testimony would have been entirely admissible and likely devastating at trial. So again, was this all done on purpose? You have to think about the timing. Did they just arrest him to shut him up? We know that he has huge political ties, gave a lot of money to a lot of people. So we'll see how it plays out. Will he ever be prosecuted? Will he ever do time? I think he broke many, many laws. I think he should be held liable here. He should have his day in court. But so should other people. Maybe some of these celebrities who got paid millions of dollars, maybe they should be liable too. And many of them are now being sued. And you know, I was watching an interview with Kevin Leary from Shark Tank the other day, and he was out there crying that he lost $15 million. But it was the money that FTX gave him to advertise FTX, to be a pitchman for FTX. So it wasn't really his money. It was the money he received from FTX that he had invested in FTX. And it's all gone now, but it wasn't really money out of his pocket. And you got to think, like, how could somebody like Kevin O'Leary not do his due diligence? How could he not see the problem here with FTX? A lot of people saw it, but it's the greed. It's just pure greed. And you look at these celebrities now, they're going to be sued in the millions of dollars they cost people. Investors, just people in the general public that follow them, that worship them, who think that they're smarter than them. You know, stop relying on celebrities and financial planners to invest your money and to look after your money. You have got to be responsible for you. Stop listening to Tom Brady and Giselle and Kevin O'Leary and financial planners and these financial advisors. You need to start doing your own due diligence and your own homework and looking out for yourself, or you're going to be susceptible to getting ripped off here. FTX spent $256 million on Bahamas real estate. Now the island's government wants it back. This on CNBC. I don't know who can feel safe investing in this stuff, but it is literally, I mean, you're literally dealing with casino chips. If you're in the casino, you can use the chips to gamble, and that's exactly what this is: pure gambling, pure speculation. And once you leave the casino, those chips are worthless. They're buying absolutely nothing. But this stuff, I think, is poison. I'm not going to touch it. I think that people need to be very, very cautious here, what's happening in the crypto world. And a lot of this stuff is going to flat out go to zero. Think about the people who invested everything they had, people who borrowed money out of their homes to put into this, spent thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in FTX. And FTX went out and they bought luxury real estate. And Sam Bankman-Fried, I believe his parents were involved in this too. These people are out in the Bahamas having a great time, floating on yachts, buying luxury mansions, while people now are wiped out and are never going to get a dime back. So should he be prosecuted? 100%. Look, I believe innocent till proven guilty, but he needs to go to court. And from everything we see right now, there are major crimes that were committed, not just by him, but it looks like his parents may be involved. I don't know that for 100%, but I'm sure they're being investigated. His brother, his girlfriend, etc. A lot of people need to be indicted here, investigated, and prosecuted. Goldman Sachs stops originating unsecured consumer loans. A very interesting story on the hedge. A few years ago, Goldman had switched from betting against subprime to betting with subprime, hoping to profit off Americans' sub 660 FICO, the 660 FICO population, by lending to it. How dangerous is this? How is this even allowed? Second quarter, they lost 2.93%. 2.93% on credit card loans. Capital One, that's even worse than Capital One. They lost 2.26. A major canary in the unsecured lending coal mine. How many others are going to follow? You know, what's scary here is as people get into more trouble financially, as they're more dependent on credit cards, when they have nothing to lose, when they lose their jobs, they have nowhere to go, they have nothing left to lose, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to use every available dime on those credit cards. They are going to run up every credit card to the limit. They are going to cash out. They're going to run those cards to the limit. They're going to take it all because they're going to file bankruptcy, and there's nothing really the bank is going to be able to do about it. Now, those people's credit will be destroyed at the worst possible time. Do you want to destroy your credit as we head into a depression? How are you going to rent a house? How are you going to buy a house? You won't even be able to rent a room. How would you ever buy another car? You're going to, at some point, these people will lose their cars too. Their credit's going to be destroyed for 7 years. And they just go, well, we'll start over in 7 years. But what do you do in the meantime? And if you or a spouse loses a job and you have no credit, no borrowing power, how do you how do you prosper? How do you take advantage of bad situations if you can't borrow money in order to do so? It's the worst possible time. I think as we head into a depression, you want the best credit you can get, because if you have to borrow some money to take advantage of sales, you want to borrow money. And you're not going to be able to do it if your credit's destroyed. If you ran up 8 credit cards and didn't pay it back, you want to have good credit. You want to have purchasing power. Cash is going to be king, in my opinion, at that point. But if you need to borrow, you want clean credit, and you want to be able to borrow to take advantage of the deals, especially what we're going to see in real estate. As U.S. home prices decline, number of buyers with underwater mortgages swell. 250,000 people or buyers who took out a mortgage this year alone are underwater. 450,000 people right now are underwater on their homes. 1 million homeowners right now have less than 10% equity in their homes. So do you really think that the housing market is going to improve? I believe we're going to see mass layoffs in 2023. I believe we are going to see an economy unlike we've ever seen in the history of the U.S. really begin in 2023, where we begin to see this economy where people just are not going to be able to deny it. They're not going to be able to sweep it under the rug. People are going to come to the realization, whether they're on television, whether they're the people that know it all, rich, poor, or in the middle, there is going to be no denying that we got big trouble, that the economy is in very, very big trouble, in free fall. I was watching a couple videos today, and you can Google this, a lot of viral videos floating around, and this is shocking, and I bring this up because there are people now that are food insecure in America, people and children not getting enough food, and there are videos floating around online of rodents being sold at a New York City store. Apparently they were guinea pigs, and I think they call it kai, if I remember correctly. Kai, it's a delicacy in some countries. And there was a lady on this video, and she says that the food shortage, she's holding up one of these frozen rodents. Looks like a guinea pig. I don't think it was a rat. Looks like a guinea pig. And there's literally 100 of these things frozen and wrapped in plastic. And she holds it up and she goes, the food shortage is real. They're bagging up rats now. That's what she said. The food shortage is real. They're bagging up rats now. She couldn't believe it. And these frozen rodents, she's holding them up. And then there's other videos in New York where people are just walking down the street, and a lady has 3 large guinea pigs on a rotisserie, and she's cooking them right out on the sidewalk. And I guess you could buy a cooked rotisseried guinea pig. So is this where it's all going? Are people going to look at other food sources like guinea pigs and rats? It's incredible what is going on out there. Who would have ever thought that you could walk into a store in New York City? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just out of touch. But you could walk into a store in New York City and buy a frozen guinea pig to bring home and cook for dinner. Or you could walk down a sidewalk in New York and people are cooking guinea pigs on a rotisserie right out in the public. Incredible. Really incredible. So as we get ready to wrap up December here, I pray that you all have a great Christmas. But I pray that God has mercy on this country, because I believe the beginning of a very serious depression is going to start in 2023. It's already begun, but it's going to be undeniable in 2023 where we're at. Nobody on the television is going to be able to deny it. They can, but nobody's going to believe it. The know-it-alls are going to be in big trouble because they're completely unprepared. And I think the world is going to come to the realization that we have a global depression on our hands. So prepare, ladies and gentlemen. It's all I can say, and I'm going to reiterate that daily, that you keep on preparing with security, with food, with water, with gear, with all of your essentials. make sure you are preparing. And most of all, make sure you are walking close to God. There's no way that you can deny that this is a spiritual war now. And when you really look at how evil all this is, what's happening with food and the shortages and what's happening to the economy, what's happening in people's purchasing power, it's pure evil. This is a spiritual war now. And anybody that doesn't see that isn't walking close to God. And maybe you're not walking close to God. I think we could all walk a little closer to God, me included. But there's no way now that you can't see what is going on. You can't deny that there is a spiritual war going on. You know, there's a lot of people out there that, oh, you know, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, but they never mention God. And if you really believe what is happening right now to this economy, then you realize that there's a God and there's a Satan. And you better pick the right side, ladies and gentlemen, because it's going to get very, very ugly. And we all need strength, we all need guidance, and we all need to be tapping into the most powerful energy in the universe, and that is God. I'm going to leave it there. God bless all of you. Have a great day. Get out there, prepare, get ready, get in better mental, physical, spiritual, and financial shape immediately. You will not regret it. You will look back and go, thank God I did. Cover all your bases, put the odds in your favor. God bless.